I didn't actually plan this at all or anything like that, but I'm just going to go through a quick couple beginner tips and whatnot. So the first thing that I would like to point out is if you go to your options and go to your settings, before you start any T-Hunt, you're going to want to get all of this set up first. So that's really where I would go first. So matchmaking preferences is a good place to go. And if you see in the first section right here, I mean obviously I have my settings already set up, but your game mode preferences for quick match is going to be something that you can figure out what you want to do. Bomb is the only thing I have on because it's the most like, I just most out of the game playing that. It's the most serious of the ones, I suppose, the most competitive way to play the game. If you go down to training grounds, the only one I would recommend really keeping on is the top one. That's the lighter gray. Obviously it's lighter gray because I can't turn it off because all the other ones are off. So that's it's called elimination. Extract hostage, protect hostage, and disarm bomb are all kind of like defense kind of terrorist hunts. So I turned all those off a long time ago. And I know I'm going to go kind of fast, but take your time with looking at it and deciding what you want to do with it. This is just what I've been doing. And then otherwise, it's just map preferences. If you're new to the game, you're not going to know what each house is, probably just by the name of it, except for like maybe house or something. But anyways, though, basically, you're going to want to just look at what maps are in the map pool currently, and have those ones on, or if there's any maps you particularly don't like, then feel free to turn them off. Like I don't really care for Chalet, so I have that turned off. Just don't particularly like it, or like Towers, not particularly fun in Terrorist Hunt. So there's that. There's also interface preferences, so this doesn't really have too much to do with Terrorist Hunt, but more of the game in general. And I would definitely recommend going through and looking at this too. The only thing I really have off is the scoring, so I don't have points that pop up my screen. I find them to be distracting. They don't really help that much. Otherwise, when you go through, you're going to definitely want to turn off this right here, VSync. There's something called tearing in Terrorist Hunt, which is where essentially the screen gets like, it lags behind where your movement is, and it's really annoying. So you're just going to turn that off. For some reason, that makes it so much better. Also, whenever you have anyone else play Terrorist Hunt with you, this is why I always do a lone wolf, it's going to make it tear a lot more. And then otherwise, lastly, you're just going to want to look at vertical sensitivity or horizontal sensitivity. This is something you can tinker around with, especially in Terrorist Hunt. And then I would recommend these two right here. The dead zones, just turn them as far down as you can. Because, yeah, that's very annoying. Another experiment with and figure out is the aim down sight sensitivity. And that's pretty much it. So settings aside, we're going to go to the Terrorist Hunt now. So it's called Training Grounds now. And you're going to see on the left-hand side, it says difficulty, normal, hard, and realistic. Obviously, I would go to the one that is going to be pushing you so that you're actually learning something, but also not so hard that you just get absolutely shut down. So normally I play on realistic, and that pushes me enough, and I get something out of it. For this, because I'm going to be a little more focused on like explaining stuff, I'm just going to do hard, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lone Wolf on the right. Alright, so pretty much going into this, doesn't really matter where you spawn, because my point of view is like you should be able to push from any part of the map. Character selection is going to be one of the most important things for what you get out of T-Hunt. Every gun obviously a little bit differently, so you're going to want to pick whatever operator you want to be your most reliable operator.
Eliminate the terrorist.
So for me, that's Yana. Yana's gun just shoots very, very steady. So she's my go-to operator. Alright. So one thing that I can point out right off the bat too is, as you can see, you can hear kind of things. T-Hunt's going to be one of the biggest ways for you to learn as much information as you can as quickly as possible. So I recommend T-Hunt definitely, because it's a hand-on approach. You can fight against, if you see in the upper right-hand corner, to the right of the time, there is it tells you how many terrorists there are. So there's 25 now. And that gives you 25 enemies, versus when you play casual or ranked or unranked, you have 5 enemies at a time. So you get headshot people far more often than not. Alright, so next thing is I'm trying to find a good place to enter while also listening for enemies and where they're pushing from. So, since I've already killed 3 enemies over here, and it's on the first floor, it's not necessarily a bad idea to push here. I just have to check up there eventually to make sure they're not going to come down. Also, looking out for C4. Also, sorry for my audio. My PlayStation's been having issues lately, so I'm not sure if it's cutting out for you guys as well, but for me, my audio cuts out every few seconds. So right there, I didn't see him at all, I just heard him. It was just an audio cue. Just like that one. Alright. Hopefully not over-explaining things. Another thing I'd like to point out is in the middle of my screen, there are those 4 white dots that are moving around the screen. This is where you want to obviously aim. You want to keep your attention on where that is at all times. Because when I do go to shoot at somebody, like if I center it on that window, it makes opening it a lot easier. I know some of this is kind of over-explaining, but it's just good to be cognizant of these things, whether you know them subconsciously or not. Okay, so this is kind of a risky place to enter because there are so many different areas to watch, and there is 18 enemies, so that's where you want to listen more. Obviously, radio on the other side of the wall here. I'm going to check down the stairs. Also, terrorists sit in weird places too, so there's that. Also, again, sorry if this is not the most well rehearsed, because I have not rehearsed this at all, obviously, so. If my points are a little scattered, that might be why. There's another thing for taking something in T-Hunt and applying it to the real life game. Is when I went to re-peek, I shot, missed, and then re-peeked down low. It's a little bit more of an advanced thing, but it's a good thing. Another thing to be a weird mental block that a lot of players is like, you don't need to see the enemy to know where they're at and to shoot them. Like, I saw him the first time and I just shot him through the wall. So I would say Terrorist Hunt is great for learning how to wall bang people or shoot them through things. So I hear that they're down here to my left. I know the map, so they're probably to my right as well. So I can quick peek and then go back down. Once I know that I'm probably going to be getting into conflict, I aim down sights. Here, a third one. And a fourth one. And the C4. Oh. And there's another one. So I knew there was another one there, so I could just fire. Oh, there's a lot of them. That's all. I mean, there's a lot of things you can learn from T-Hunt. Pretty much endless things, to be honest. Like pre-firing, re-peeking, quick peeking, positioning, wall banging. The list goes on and on. Obviously, it's a lot of information, and you're not expected to just know all of it right off the bat. So, I hear them outside, and it's right there. So I'm going to position myself in a place that I've cleared out already. They're also a meeting hall. So I know it's safe to go back over here because I've already cleared it out. So I'm just gonna push up here and get some more ground. Hello, person. I went through a lot of information. I'm not sure who it is or how much you've seen yet, but if Probably not much because you probably just joined. But let me know if you have any questions, because I would be happy to go over anything in particular that I could help you with. Alright, so one little tidbit. Once there's 4 enemies, doesn't really mean anything. Once there's 3 enemies, they're all gonna start aggressing towards the last known location of you.
Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission successful.
Yeah, that was not super great. But one thing to know too is that like it doesn't really matter how much damage you take in Terrorist Hunt. It's very important to remember like the mindset of Terrorist Hunt, that it's just a tool. It's just meant for you to. It's just an ends to a mean in whatever your goal might be. So like, for me, my goal right now, obviously, is to point out some tips and stuff like that. But I can use my secondary goal to be like, I am just trying to get better aim. So by that logic, as long as I'm hitting headshots relatively well, and I'm winning my repeats, and I'm not losing gunfights more often than winning them, then I'm achieving my goal. So I think it's really important not to be too hard on yourself. Also, I would definitely recommend going back and watching some of the beginning stuff, and just, you know, if it's overly like simple or like whatever, then like skip ahead or whatever. But I think I put some good things that I picked up from this game in there. So yeah.
Eliminate all hostiles.
One thing that I'll do to challenge myself, because sometimes people are like, oh, like Terrorist Hunt's too easy and stuff like that, and I agree, is like practicing with your sidearm. Then, like I'll practice just getting kills with my pistol. So like that's kind of getting into the whole mindset of like T-Hunt is just a tool. You could get whatever you want out of it. You just have to do what you want to do with it, and just be aware of what you're trying to get out of it. So I took a lot of damage, but at least I was able to flick on these people.
All friendlies have been eliminated.
That wasn't great. But it happens. So when I lose really bad like that, I like to go right back into it and try again, just because it's a good way to like really see what you did wrong. Obviously, like I didn't check my corners, so when I entered in, I lost a third of my health from the one guy behind me, and then I was overly aggressive and jumped into the hallway, which there was 2 people there waiting for me. So going into it again, if I go to that particular spot again, I would just be very
Eliminate
careful.
all of the terrorists.
So, they're not guaranteed to be in the same spot or anything. But that actually was not the best place to enter. I'm actually going to enter up top here. I have the advantage of knowing the map already. But if you don't, then don't be afraid to just prod in and go around, and as you kill terrorists and stuff, then you'll start to learn the map. So checking my corners this time, knowing that they're gonna come from behind me eventually because they know that I entered here. I can hear them behind me. And whenever one tries to flank you, there typically is a second one that comes eventually. Usually pretty quickly afterwards. Another thing I can point out here real quick, actually, that I think is a good tip for beginners, and I mentioned earlier, but maybe I could go more in depth about it. So, I keep my character pre-aimed at head height at all times, without ADSing. Actually, there's one at the window. So whenever I aim at something, I'm aiming right about where head level is. Obviously sometimes they're crouching and you have to adjust, but being very aware of where head level versus crouching head level is going to be really important. Where is he? He's from over there. The window? Yeah, I don't know where this guy is, but I'm gonna go. There he is. So I was able to click on his head. It's a controller. I was able to find his head very quickly because I kept my little white reticles there in the middle, right around the head level. Not to beat a dead horse at that point, but it's very important. So once again, I can re-enter here because I know it is going to be most likely clear because of the people I killed earlier. And as I go around, this is all head level-ish, as close to what I know is head level to be. Sometimes they're going to be crouched behind things, so I adjust it down below. I hear one over there as well, so I'm going to go check that out. And if you look in the upper right, it tells you how often I'm going to get headshots as well. So, instead of contesting it, I'm going to get away because I hear someone about to flank me from the stairs. So I can get to a safer position. They'll likely follow me. It's going to be an easy kill if I just hold an angle, so I challenge myself a little bit. By coming out of that. I'm just going to check here to make sure I'm not getting flanked. Good. I heard him trying to rip it down, which is why I knew he was there. I didn't hear anybody in here, which is why I didn't ADS into it. I did hear someone in here somewhere. They're probably over that way or over that way. So I'm gonna make sure this room's clear. Might as well get some practice with grenades. Accidental knife, that honestly gets me killed a lot. So yeah, it's a good place to practice good habits and bad habits. Obviously, if you do too much T-Hunt, it can hurt your game sense. But it helps with things like hearing and snapping on people, which is fascinating. Not fascinating, fun. Especially because those are the plays that people think are really cool. And it feels pretty satisfying when you get them. So I'm gonna ADS. Might as well practice with grenades a little bit. I think I hear them coming from outside. Obviously, I could drone and stuff. I purposely try not to drone. I did see him, but I'm disengaging because I hear someone else coming from a cross angle. Not sure exactly where yet. Probably from this way. So I don't want to get into a fight if I'm going to get flanked. So clear, clear. I can move on. Never move into an area without it being clear, which is pretty obvious, I feel like. Alright. Weird little tidbit for beginners especially is there are ammo things across the map, and you can certainly take them. There's this weird thing where, I don't know if it's a bug or not, but if you start gathering ammo, if there's terrorists nearby, they almost certainly will come towards you when you start grabbing it, even if you fall off of it. Alright, so I heard sound cues of them rustling around in the crouch height on both sides. So I'm just going to be careful. And then get control of one of the sides that I know is clear. And there's 3 left. They're trying to come up up on you. And they usually push from the same spot.
Op 4 eliminated.
So I took what looked like what was a big failure, and I was able to learn from it. I think that's really the big thing for Terrorist Hunt. I would say if you are new to the game, normal difficulty is very good. It's very worth doing that. I'd say the hard difficulty is something to work towards. That's when you feel like you're able to get the kills and you're able to finish it. And once you're able to do normal difficulty without taking any damage, I'd say you're good to move on to the hard difficulty. And then hard difficulty, once you feel like you're able to do that without taking any or much damage, you can move on to you would get something more out of moving on to the hardest, the realistic game mode. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I'll do it on realistic. Sometimes I get absolutely smacked, and other times I do it without taking any damage. So just to show you like kind of what I practice, see if it helps at all. Because at this point, when I do Terrorist Hunt, sometimes it helps with sharpening my game sense a little bit, if I don't do it too often. Sometimes this is not the best map, but and sometimes it just, mostly it helps with my aim, is the main reason why I do it. And as you see, I'm going to keep picking the same operator, especially for realistic. Need to know how to use that particular gun, because you're not going to get very much out of Terrorist Hunt, in my opinion, if you are using all different kinds of operators. So pick whichever one you want to be best with.
Eliminate all of the terrorists.
I mean, I swap between a few, but yeah. Alright, so when I'm doing realistic Terrorist Hunt, they can be really unpredictable. I don't think I'm going to do very good on this map, but I'm just trying to find a place where I can enter without them coming behind me so easily. So I'm going to go to the second floor, prod this open, step aside, because they like to pre-fire at you a lot. And I'm not going to engage with them unless I can have a real clear line of sight or idea where they're at, because they have like auto aim. So you have to have your time to kill on them really good. Alright, so that was a wall bang there. I mean, you have to kill them ridiculously fast, or else they will do shit tons of damage to you. This isn't really a good place to enter, to be honest, because there's a whole half of the map that way and a whole half of the map this way. So I'm getting myself into some trouble here. I'm actually am gonna drone a little bit. Hope they don't run out on me. So there's one in drone. Shield, thank God there's no one there. Alright, and then in realistic game mode, I use my hearing cues a lot because they are very aggressive. And they're going to push me from both angles here, so I might be in some trouble.
We have been eliminated.
As you can see, you gotta like kill them incredibly fast, because on my screen, it didn't look like I was out of cover for very long, but obviously on their screen, we saw something different. But, yeah. So I got absolutely slapped. I'm gonna go back to just the hard difficulty for now. Say if you're trying to find a good way to learn the game quickly and you really want to get good, it's definitely going to be a balance between doing Terrorist Hunt a good amount and just playing the game too. I'm going to try Zafia because she's another one of the operators that I've done T-Hunt particularly a lot with.
Eliminate the terrorists.
Another thing is you can always check for a lot of the easy kills. These are like that right there, something you can do even in realistic, or not realistic, in casual gameplay, or even ranked and stuff like that, and you'll catch people sometimes. So it's not bad things because you can practice exploiting them, for lack of a better word. Check here because sometimes they get weird spots. Definitely want to keep your ears open because they can push from any direction. In fact, they're pushing from outside right now, so I'll put myself in here because it's clear. Plunging attack Dylan's told me about. It's also a good opportunity to learn callouts, like, this is yellow stairs right here. So if anyone ever says yellow stairs, this is what they're talking about. You can enter it from outside here, goes down to garage. Also, if you ever think someone's going to be somewhere, just aim at it. I think someone might be top of there. Top of spiral is what I was going to say. Now, I hear someone near offices. If you heavily think someone's going to be there, might as well just shoot at it. This is the little ammo box thing I was talking about earlier. Didn't really come for me because I think they're all dead around me except for below me. So I bet they're going to be near Visa office, which is this area. This is the, by the way, anyone watching, this is that box right there is the particular one that makes music. So the last 5 are going to be in the basements. Probably to my east, mostly.
Hostiles remaining.
Well, he's gonna come to me eventually, most likely. Should. Unless he's stuck in a closet. That's not like a euphemism or anything like that, they just get stuck in closets a lot. Also, those are proximity based, it's worth mentioning. If you get too close, it's just gonna kill you. Or do a shit ton of damage. I've never seen that one.
Op
He got
4 eliminated.
his little footsies stuck right in there. Huh. Alright, and I will probably conclude it there because I think that I don't want to over-explain anything more than I maybe have already, maybe haven't. A lot of it's going to be whatever you learn from yourself, and maybe you'll play very differently than I will, and maybe not. So, yeah, I think that those are just good starter points. There's a lot to it, and I'm sure if you stick with it, you'll come up with your own takeaways. But yeah, hope you enjoyed.